Hi, everybody. Welcome to our Female Founder Fridays. We're going live today for the first time. So I just have several topics to discuss, and I pick a new one each week. But I did want to let you know that for this week, I want to focus on not quitting. I think it's a really important thing to think about if you're actually owning your own company and you want to keep your own company going. So first of all, it had been recommended to me on a number of occasions that 5 years into our business that we quit Marisa Perry. So friends were telling Douglas and I, why don't one of you work somewhere else, or perhaps one person can keep the store running and another one can get another job. And that never felt right to me, obviously, because it didn't feel right. Sorry, I have my landscapers outside making a racket. Sorry about that. It's a little distracting. Anyhow, the reason I never felt right about possibly doing that is because I thought to myself that first of all, I didn't think our business could survive necessarily with just one of us. I really felt like we both really needed to put 100% of our effort into it. But also, it just, quitting at that time or just altering things just didn't seem to make sense to me. So anyway, I'm so happy that I didn't, because it turns out my husband and I were both right. Here we are years later with a successful business. I'm so happy about it. And I'm so happy that I didn't quit and go elsewhere, and that we really gave it our full energy, because that's what you need. And I am going to read some questions down below, because it's really exciting that you guys are participating. And I want to answer any questions for any female founders that come, and join us. But additionally, the other thing that I needed to talk to you about is that I had a really good friend of mine, and she had this company, and it got a lot of press, and it was well known and well appreciated, and everybody loved it. It had great brand identity, and it had a fabulous concept. And after a year or two, she decided to discard it, and I was so upset about it, because I kept saying, don't discard this. It's too much to just leave. And I think that a lot of people feel, or a lot of young women, and women my age also, feel like, well, it's got to be successful overnight, and you have to have something that is really, that if in a year or two you're not making a lot of money, then it's not successful. Not true. The fact of the matter is, it's successful after 17 years, not 5 years, 17 years. It is the accumulation of people that you meet along the way, and the accumulation of customers and customer referrals that give you a great business. So I think that a lot of people need to realize that it isn't just like one moment or 5 minutes or 1 year or 2 years that will actually make your business really, really stand. It is the amount of time you put in consistently and well for a number of years. That is what's going to make a great business. And I'm going to start checking out some questions here. So hold on. Let's see. So why were people suggesting you quit? Were you on hard times? No, actually, we were not on hard times. A friend of my husband is kind of a snob, and he's like, well, if you guys aren't making that much money, you should move. I mean, we weren't making a ton of money at the time. And I mean, we don't make a ton of money, but just, we weren't making as much money as people would think we should have at that moment. But I understood the value of building a clientele and keeping something that was real and that was really generating income and that was making a lot of sales. I understood the value of keeping it alive, and I'm so glad, because according to this guy, he would have had me running a restaurant right now. So he wasn't really like the person whose advice I should have taken. So I didn't, but he's a smart businessman, and people tell you a lot of things. Lady Gaga, also, I think that she did a whole album about it, but it was like, don't quit. If you have a passion and you want to do something, don't quit. And I think it's so important, because whoever thinks that, you're going to make $10 million by the time you're 29, or that success comes overnight, it does not come overnight. Just keep working at it and building something real and something concrete, and perhaps something that can be handed down from generation to generation. That's what I'm hoping to do. So let's see what we have here. Do you have another hustle on the side, or did I have another hustle on the side? Or did you just bootstrap? I bootstrapped. No, we did not. For me to make this company work, I had to give it everything I had. I had to give it every ounce of energy and effort that I had. I know my husband was very, very busy. I see that he joined us. He was very, very busy making jewelry and doing the inventory and overseeing the manufacturing. But I had to get traffic in the store, and I had to build people coming in. So it really required my full attention. I could not have possibly divided my attention to start another project at the same time. Not for this. Plus, I had investors and I had other people's money to worry about, not just mine, so I wasn't going to lose any. So let's see what other questions we have. If you ever had to change something in your success story, what would it be? Any mistakes you wish you haven't made? Wow, I have to think about that one. That's a hard question. I haven't made a lot of mistakes, thank God, or things that I really, really regret. I have to say that there were expenditures of our capital when we first started that I feel like my husband and I would have liked to redo. We felt like we bought certain inventory that we should not have purchased. That was probably a mistake. And perhaps not really, really going into full force in Instagram fully. That probably should have happened a little bit earlier than it did. So, or actually, maybe I should have been focusing on Instagram more. Of course, I was running the company and I had somebody else, a different person, doing my Instagram, and she was great. And now she moved back to Washington, so now I have Emily, who's been doing our Instagram for a number of years, who's really fantastic. But I think maybe having put a little bit more towards Instagram earlier on could have been a really good thing to do in marketing, which I did not do. Thank you. That's why I have like 13 or 14,000 followers, and some of my competitors have like 350,000. So let's see here. If you had to change something in your success story, if I had to change something in my success story, it would have been maybe to possibly start that a little earlier, because I feel like it's the only area that I'm not ahead of my competitors. And I always say I'm not competitive at all as long as I'm number one. So there you go. Here's another question. Do you think that there's a point when businesses should know it's time to stop? How can you know when it's just time and what is not working? Well, there are certain times you have to know it's to stop. If you have to feed yourself and you have to make a salary, or you need income and the business that you've chosen to be in isn't providing that, or it's not generating income for your investors, or you don't see any hope in the future to make that happen, then I guess it would be time to probably give up. I mean, there were a lot of things I would have liked to have done when I was younger, but I had to support myself, so I needed a salary. So it wasn't so easy for me just to do anything that I wanted without an income coming in. But I have to say that unless you really don't have an income, or you don't see any promise of an income, then I think it's time to quit. When I don't think it's time to quit is when you have like a business and people know it, and you have some brand equity, or even just like a lot of people know about it, or you have a good amount of followers. Rather than say, I don't have enough money and it's not lucrative enough for me after 2 years, I'm going to drop it. What I would prefer that you do is maybe find out about getting some financing. And that, ladies, is less difficult than you may think. Write a good business plan, and if you can fill out the business plan, if you can fill out the questions the business plan asks, you're ready to start your own business. And you can find capital, and just have enough capital to last you, because that, obviously you always hear that's the mistake everyone makes. So let's see what we have here. Do you think there's a point when businesses should know it's time to stop? So that was that one. Here's another one. Were there days in your first store that you were scared, like, what did we do? Not really. I loved it. We were on this person is Gem 48 is speaking of is we had a store in Soho for 11 years, and then we had we moved, sorry, we needed more space, so we moved to the West Village and we got a store double the size. And I don't think I ever thought, what do I do? There was one aspect of it that made me think that, like working every Saturday and Sunday for my entire life. Then it's, what did I do? How come I can't even get a Sunday off? Now, of course, my husband gloms all the Sundays because he wants to watch football. So I usually end up working Sunday. But I think that aside from having a retail store totally tying you and roping you into being there or being around or being present or having somebody really good who's around for you, that's a little bit confining. But I never thought, like, what did I do in any other capacity? So, although I did have a really, really great career before I was in jewelry, and it was pretty amazing. And a lot of people thought, what in the hell is she doing? Because it was such a fantasy job that I think that nobody could ever dream that I could ever give up such a position. Let's see here. Who else do I have here? What do you think is the most essential thing to focus on when you start your own company? Oh, wow. I wish I could pause Instagram Live so I could just take a minute to think about these questions. They're all such good questions and they're really kind of complicated. When you first start your own company, sadly, I don't want this to be the first thing you have to focus on, but obviously you need an income. Obviously you need to figure out how you can either get financing and to be able to make that company go. But let's say that's been established. Let's say that's done. I think the most essential thing to focus on when you start your own company is getting the word out there with a message of what you actually do. I think that everybody needs to know. And right now, you can do so much for no cost. So, when I was starting out this company, people advertised in magazines, like paper ones, like you see at the dentist office, and, getting full page ads in Vogue was a thing. And that was a way to get your brand out. But now, obviously, we have social media and we can do so much at no charge. You can be on Twitter blasting out the word. You can be on, Instagram. You can be on every platform telling people. And when people know what you do, they're going to come to you for that service or that product, if it's a good product and a good service. So I think getting the word out is the most important thing, because otherwise no one's going to know to come to you. Let's see here if we have any more. Did you know that you were going to be successful out of the gate, or did you ever have doubts? We all have doubts. We all really, really have doubts. That's an unusual question. Number one, I didn't know how successful I would be, like how much money I would make or how big I would grow my company. I wanted to grow it really, 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 really big, like really big time big. So I thought I was going to be successful straight out of the gate because I work like an insane maniac, and I figured I will make it happen. I'll just make it happen, which, by the way, is how I got the financing. It was for guys I worked for 20 years, and they knew I would make it happen. Like, no matter what, I would really push to make it happen, and I did. I did everything I could in my power to make it happen. But about having doubts or knowing if you're going to be successful out of the gate, I think that, you're always taking a risk, and people have to realize, you have to realize I'm taking a risk, and I'm just going to do everything in my power to make it happen. I did have another anecdote to that, but I got to have it come back to me because I keep getting questions. Tips for keeping your motivation. That's a really great one. Hi. Let's see. Well, first of all, this is a terrible thing to say, but one tip I had for keeping my motivation is that I had investors who invested in me and believed in me, and I couldn't let them down. And so that was a real like I knew I had to make it work no matter what. And motivation to go in every day, that's a topic that I'm going to talk about in another Female Founder Friday. I think that motivation to keep on with what you're doing can only be driven by something that you really love doing. So I always say that you got to do something you love, because if you've if you're going to spend 40 hours a week or 50 hours or 60 hours a week doing something, it better be something you love or you'll be miserable. And I had somebody come to me recently, somebody young, who said to me, I don't think that's really true, and I'm not really buying that you need to do something you love. I think you just need to do something that you can make a really good living at and just enjoy the weekends. And I haven't really had a chance to get back to her on that. And it kind of hit me like, wow, I haven't heard that since my grandmother's generation, right? And I thought, but I've given it a lot of thought, and I know her, and I think I'm going to give her a call, and I'm going to tell her that I don't necessarily agree with that philosophy. I think that you really have to love what you do, and you will be motivated to do it every day and take the challenge of building a company, building a brand. That challenge is really motivating. Let's see what I have. I'm so glad you guys are asking so many questions. I hope I can be of help to you. How do you keep your home-work balance since you work with your husband? Good question. Hold on, I'm going to get some water. That's really, really funny. Well, first of all, recently we work a lot of separate days. So it used to be that we worked every single day together, 6 days a week in the olden days. And then what we would do is we would work, like we would be home together on a non-working day on Wednesdays. That was our day together because weekends were busy. Hold on, I'm going to take a sip. So first of all, weekends are always our busy time. So we used to take Wednesday off together. Now, Wednesday to this day is still our day off as a couple. So that's super fun. And we do work in other days together, but one of the saving graces, and I can't say it's like a live life working balance thing, but Douglas has his department. He's in charge of all of the design, all of the jewelry, and all of the manufacturing of that jewelry. And that's a huge job. I'm responsible for the company, the retail store, and for running the company and for building the brand and doing the marketing. So we have our own departments, and we really try not to interfere with each other's departments because we both do not like being told what to do, especially him. I'm a little more open to suggestions, I'd like to think. So, and then we do really try to stay off our phones, and we try on Wednesday to be together as a couple. And we hang out like every night together, even if we're not really like paying attention to the same thing. We hang out a lot together. We like spending time when we're not at work together, so it's good. Let's see. And homework balance, that's a whole different conversation. Like homework balance is also something that I feel like how do you stop thinking about work when you're not at work? Like how do you keep a balance to be healthy and happy and work a lot? And I think that that's something we pay a lot of attention to. I'm better at it than my husband. When I come home, I am off duty. And he starts talking about work and I'm like, be quiet, I'm off duty. I cannot think about it. I cannot hear about it. And I completely sever that when I walk in the door. Now, granted, in the morning when I wake up and I have a little quiet time to think to myself, I'm working from the time I wake up until the time I come home from work. But when I get home from work at like 8:30 or 8:45, that's when I draw the line. And on Wednesday, I don't want to think about work. I usually, Tuesday, my first day off of the week, I will usually end up working most of the day, but I try to stay off of it. Let's see here. Do you feel, I can't believe you guys are having me go for so long. This is so cool. Do you feel like you actually get days off being a business owner, or are you always on? You're always on. Now, I have to say, like, my husband's a little bit of a bigger offender than this. He will never stop speaking to his vendors. I have to call up our vendors and yell at them and tell them to stop bothering us on our only day off together because it's really annoying and they know it's our only day off. He's worse at it. Like my husband will call the store 10 times a day and the girls will tell you on his day off, whereas I will not do that. If I have an emergency or something really important to contact them for, of course I'm going to contact them, but I will not, I don't do that recreationally. I don't do that because I can't cut off. So, but I am working. We kind of, you don't really get a full break. You never have a moment in time where you are completely free from responsibility ever again. So let's see, get days off. No, I think I've answered all your questions. This is so awesome. I can't wait to see all of you guys. So I just want to leave you with a little something that's off topic here. I was really excited before this entire COVID-19 thing came about. I was super excited to start this Female Founder Fridays and hoping that I would be able to share some of my business information and the things that I've gathered and learned through the years with maybe a younger group of women who are starting their own companies. And I do hope to do that. Of course, my launch date was last Friday, if you can imagine, and it was a little distracting, and I didn't know if it was appropriate to really be beginning a series during a time like this. And it is very disheartening and it's very upsetting to everybody. And I'm just hoping that we can just take advantage of this time to enjoy our homes. And I thought no time like the present to talk to people, because it's not like you're in the offices or in your stores or wherever at work necessarily at the moment. Hopefully you might be having a little bit more time off right now. So I thought it might be a good time to learn something and have a little bit of fun during this time. But we will be addressing a different topic each week. And we're happy to go off topic like we did today. I'm happy to do that. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. And I'll try to leave someplace when I swipe up, if I can, where you can leave questions. Otherwise, save them for me for next week. And last week, I was asked a question that I never answered. I feel so bad, so I'm answering it now. Somebody asked us if we have financing. And although most of our customers just use a credit card for their financing, or they either pay for it or they will buy something with a credit card and pay it off with the credit card company, I have become aware of a program that Wells Fargo has that we can address for financing. So we may be addressing that soon and getting it for you all soon. So that's to answer the question. I'm sorry that I've waited a week to answer your question, and I will see you all next Friday. Any more questions before I sign off? Let me scroll down. Let's see. Oh, wow. Here's a big question. So stay on if you want. Here's one more. How do you find a staff and a team that you trust and know will work hard for you? That's never easy. It's really not easy. I got really lucky. Took a while, but I got really lucky. I think that, first of all, what was the most important for us is trusting somebody, period, because we have jewelry, and somebody that we can trust to open the safe and that can put out the jewelry and be around large carat weight diamonds all day and small carat weight diamonds, all diamonds. And we needed people that we could really trust. And I happen to be a pretty trusting person, and I didn't think people would be so creepy as to take from me. But also, to have people that you trust to work really hard for you, that's a whole other category. And although I think that starts at the top, and I think I used to work like a crazy person all the time, so my staff kind of tried to keep up on that matter. Now I have a staff that doesn't need me as an example. They just are amazing. I have an incredible store director who works really, really hard. She has trained other people. I've got an incredible sales team and a really great marketing team, and a small marketing team, but they're really, really good. And I think all of them enjoy working hard and doing a great job. So, but it's very hard to find. And so I had to interview a lot of people. I went on ZipRecruiter and interviewed tons and tons of people. It's very tricky to find the right people. So right now we have my best team ever, thank God, and hopefully we can continue growing each year, and hopefully we'll even grow this year. I'm hoping if you're going to get married in 2020, you're going to get your ring eventually this year. So whatever we're not doing now, whatever business we're not doing now, hopefully we'll be doing it later on later on in the year. So anyhow, thank you all for joining me. I'm signing off. Think of any questions you want to ask me next week. It can be on any business topic. I look very forward to seeing you all, and thanks a million. And let me see if I can actually sign off properly this time. So long. Bye-bye.